Tony La Russa is planning to start Rick Ankiel in Game 2 and Andy Bennis in Game 3 before bringing back tonight's starter Darryl Kyle on 3 days rest for Game 4. Bennis didn't pitch at all in the first round against Atlanta, and Ankiel was wild. Compare the Cards trio to Hampton, Leiter, Reed, and Jones, and the Mets would seem to have a significant edge in terms of starting pitching. Game 1 from St. Louis. Darryl Kyle did win 20 games this year. Perez continues his spectacular postseason. Into the corner and right. Kyle in some trouble early. Mike Piazza, just 3 out of 14 in round 1 against the Giants. Fair ball. Perez comes in to score, and the Mets here in the first half the lead by the score of 1-0. Bottom 1, bases loaded, 2 outs. Mike Hampton facing Carlos Hernandez. Mike Matheny still out with that finger injury, and Mike Bordick receives it from Edgardo Alfonzo for the force out. Bottom of the 3rd, Jim Edmonds at the plate. Down he goes. Mets pitching at this point 21 straight scoreless innings. Top 4, Jay Payton with 2 outs. Eric Davis, great catch. Watch it again. All-out effort by the veteran to rob Payton of the extra bases. Bottom 4, 2-0 Mets. J.D. Drew up. Full count. Down he goes. Drew thought he walked, but such is not the case. Top of the 5th, Kyle pitching to Hampton. Hampton, that spectacular athlete, helps himself on offense. Safe at first. 2 batters after that. Hampton now on second. Edgardo Alfonzo with 2 outs. Base hit comes through again. How many clutch 2-outs hits can Alfonzo get? Gets another one. Hampton comes in. Mets up 3-0. Alfonzo's 4th straight game with an RBI, all with 2 outs. Bottom 5, it's Edmonds. Down he goes again. Bottom 7, still 3-0. Edmonds up with a chance here. A chance to tie. A swing and a drive. If it goes, we're tied. But Benny Agbayani squeezes it on the warning track. Edmonds thought he had tied the game. Bottom 8, 2 outs. 1 on. Mark McGwire waiting for his chance. Focused. But La Russa goes with Sean Dunston to face John Franco. Gets a rip on it, but flies out to end the inning. Top of the 9th, Todd Zeile, who's been struggling, facing Mike James. And Zeile blasts it. So the Mets go up 4-0. Jay Payton later in the 9th added a 2-run home run to make it 6-0. So the Mets are up 6-0 going to the bottom of the 9th inning. And Armando Benitez here, after giving up a couple of runs, gets Eric Davis to ground out to 3rd. And the Mets go on to win Game 1 by the final score of 6-2. Mets pitchers had held the opposition scoreless for 26 straight innings until the 9th inning. Full moon in St. Louis. Rick Ankiel, Game 1 against Atlanta, had 5 wild pitches. His very first pitch of the night, Timo Perez, look out. Tony La Russa, dicey. Same at bat. Perez, the 3-2 pitch. Down he goes. Next man up for New York is Edgardo Alfonzo. Way outside. Look out in the front row. Another pitch is going to miss high. Alfonzo walks. And already La Russa is on the telephone. Get me somebody warming up. Next man up, Mike Piazza. Wild pitch. Alfonzo to second. Same at bat. Ankiel is wild again. Piazza walks. His 7th wild pitch in this postseason. Alfonzo to 3rd. After Todd Zeile sac fly made it 1-0 Mets. Benny Agbayani, left center base hit. Piazza comes around to score. So the Mets up 2-0. Ankiel goes just 2/3 of an inning, gives up 2 earned runs, 2 wild pitches, and walks 3. Britt Reams in to pitch for the Cards. Jay Payton, ring him up, sit him down. That ends the inning. In the top of the 3rd, it's 2-1 Mets. And it's Mike Piazza had the RBI double in Game 1. And a swing and a drive here. And it's gone over the wall and right. His first home run of the postseason. Mets up 3-1. Top 4, Mets bases loaded. 2 outs. St. Louis fans can't watch. Robin Ventura. He's been hitting the ball hard. Hits the ball hard again, but again right out of fielder. Fernando Vina makes the play. Bottom 4. It's a man on 3rd, Mark McGwire. Will he get his chance to hit? Ray Lankford, down he goes. McGwire still waiting. Eli Marrero at the plate. Down he goes. so McGuire doesn't get up to the plate in that inning. Bottom 5, Cards down 3-2. It's Fernando Tatis, who's been struggling. Finally gets a hit, 1 for 3 in this contest. Renteria scores. We're tied at 3. Now it's Al Leiter still in there. Renteria to Timo Perez. Perez with one of the great plays. Watch it again as Leiter is able to get out of the 7th. Perez with a spectacular effort in right field. Top 8, man on first, Edgardo Alfonzo. And guess who the man on first is? Perez, maybe the only guy that could have scored on the Mets on this play. Alfonzo, his 5th straight game with an RBI. That's tied for the 2nd longest streak ever in the postseason. Perez to go-ahead run. In there, 4-3 New York. They intentionally walk Piazza to get to Todd Zeile. Zeile continuing to swing well, 2 for 3 in the game. Alfonso scores to make it 5-3. Piazza caught in a rundown, and he's tagged out, but the Mets up by 2. Bottom 8. John Franco in as Al Leiter went 7. Franco in to pitch the 8th. In the dirt here, Carlos Hernandez comes in to score, and the Cards within 1. They're down 5-4. Still bottom 8. J.D. Drew pinch hitting. Base hit up the middle off Turk Wendell. Will Clark the tying run. He's in, and we're now all tied up at 5. Mark McGuire finally gets in here. They only have Rick Wilkins left on the bench, so they pinch hit with McGuire. Even though the first base is open, they knew they would intentionally walk him, and that's what they did. He pinch hits for Dave Veers. Craig Paquette then strikes out, but because Dave Veers has been pinch hit for, it's Mike Timlin in here to pitch the 9th, and Joe McEwing on the bases. Jay Payton comes through again. McEwing is the go-ahead run, comes in to score. Payton all the way to 3rd, another huge hit for him. Mets up 6-5, and they win it by the 6-5 final. The game very much like Game 2 of the NLDS against the Giants. The Mets blow a late-inning lead and then come back to win on a hit by Payton. Al Leiter winless now in 9 postseason starts, but the bullpen lets him down. And we have Reed on the mound in the very first inning. Edgar Renteria bunting. Robin Ventura the misplay. Charged with an error. Renteria is safe. Next man up, Jim Edmonds with 2 on. Edmonds 1 hit in the game. Here it is. Down the line and fair. Fernando Vina, who led off the game with a hit, comes in. Renteria comes in. And just like that, the Cards have their first lead of the series, 2-zip. Bottom 1, runners at 1st and 3rd. Mike Piazza grounds to 3rd. Fernando Tatis starting the 5-4-3 double play. Run does score. Mets down 2-1. Still bottom 1. Robin Ventura lining back to Bettis. Ventura 0 for 3 in the game, just 1 for 9 now in the series. Bottom of the 2nd, it's Mike Bordick. Foul or fair? It's fair now, and Will Clark makes the tag. In the top of the 3rd, it's Edmonds again. The other way again. Benny Agbayani, track, wall, grab. Renteria's got to hustle back. Play it first. Renteria just does get back. Still in the top of the 3rd, J.D. Drew popping it up. Mike Piazza. I think I have it. I think I have it. I do have it. Great catch for him. Top 4, 2 on, 4-1 Cards. And Renteria to left center. Andy Bennis with that bad knee. Needs postseason surgery. Chugging, huffing, and puffing, and in there. And the Cards were up by the score of 5-1. Reed coming out after 3 1/3. Not happy. Still top 4, bases loaded. Finally, we see Mark McGuire in a situation where they have to pitch to him. Almost got all of it. Ends up being a fly out. McGuire leaving the bases loaded. Bottom 4, 5-1 Cards. Bases loaded for Jay Payton. Can Payton come through again? They're still very much in this ball game. But he grounds to 2nd. Vina tosses to 1st. And then Will Clark tags out Agbayani. Double play. Run does score. But it's 5-2. Bottom 7, Bennis still going strong. Hasn't pitched in 13 days. Didn't pitch at all against Atlanta. Gets Payton. Gets Bordick. And he freezes Lenny Harris. Bennis strikes out 5. And the Cards win 8-2. They now trail 2 games to 1. In the first 2 games, the Cards went just 3 for 27 with runners in scoring position and stranded 19 runners. In this one, the Cards went 7 for 16 with runners in scoring position. Reed didn't have it, giving up 5 runs in 3 1/3. And Bennis shook off the rust.
Pat Henkin pitches Game 5 Monday on 15 days rest, in direct contrast with Darryl Kyle, who's 4-8 with a 6.66 ERA in 13 career starts, on 3 days rest. Kyle got the call in Game 4, trying to square the National League Championship Series against the Mets at Big Shea. Got off to a tough start. Timo Perez doubles to right, ground rule double over the wall. He was the first batter in the bottom of the first. Next batter, Edgardo Alfonso slaps a double to right. Perez would score. Mets were down 2-1. Next batter, Mike Piazza, double. 3 doubles in a row. That put 2 runners on. Next batter, Robin Ventura. Guess what? Double off the wall and right. Scoring Alfonso and Piazza, 3-2 Mets. 2 batters later, Benny Agbayani lifts a pitch deep to center. You got it. Double. Ventura scores 4-2 Mets. 5 doubles in the first for New York. A league championship series record. Bottom of the second, bases loaded for Todd Zeile. I mean, I guess a theme has to be developing here. Another double. Perez and Piazza score. 6th double in the first 2 innings. And it's 6-2 Mets there, doubling their pleasure. Mets up 7-3 in the bottom of the 4th. Piazza, this would not be a double off Mike James. Get out of town, and he means it. 8-3 Mets. They move to the top of the 5th. Cards closing in. Glendon Rush also in. Jim Edmonds grounds a single between first and second. Eric Davis would score. Cards were down 8-6, and we've got ourselves a ball game. Bottom 6, still 8-6. Bases juice for Piazza with 1 out. Grounds at the 3rd. Fernando Tatis bobbled it. Everybody's safe. Mike Bordick would score. 9-6 Mets. 2nd error in the inning for Tatis. Top of the 7th. Cards are down 10-6 with Jim Edmonds on deck and 1 down. Edgar Renteria flies to right. Sean Dunston probably doesn't know much about Timo Perez's arm. He knows now. He tests the rookie. And the Mets get out of the jam. What a throw by Timo. Top 9, 2 on for Edmonds and 2 down off Armando Benitez. And fittingly, this game should end in the hands of Timo Perez, and it does. The Mets win 10-6, take a commanding 3-1 series lead at Big Shea. Darryl Kyle and Bobby Jones both had rough outings. The 13 combined earned runs tied for the most ever by both starting pitchers in a
Game 5, Bobby V very loose for it, doing the air drums before the game, and then in the first inning, the Mets beat Pat Henkin like a drum. Henkin making his first postseason appearance since 1993, and Timo Perez leads off the game for the Mets with a base hit. Next batter is Edgardo Alfonso. He swings through it. Carlos Hernandez throws down, and it goes into center field. Perez on 3rd now with nobody out. Next pitch to Alfonso, ripped to short. Edgar Renteria can't handle it. Perez scores. Mets up 1-0 just like that. 2 batters later, 2 on, still nobody out. Robin Ventura base hit. 3 hits in the series, 5 RBI in the series. Mets up 2-0. Next batter, Todd Zeile. He grounds to second. Fernando Vina bobbles, gets 1 at second, but the throw to first. Will Clark can't grab it. Mets up 3-0. Mets 12 first-inning runs in the series. Meanwhile, Mike Hampton on cruise control in the 4th of a 3-0 game. Jim Edmonds swinging. Bottom of the 4th, still 3-0 Mets, but there's Timo Perez getting things going again with 1 out. Rips it off Henkin to Renteria. Throw is low, and Perez is safe at first. Same inning, bases full of Mets for Todd Zeile. And Zeile rips it. Perez plates an NLCS tying 8th run of the series. Zeile clears the bases. He hit .368 with a team-leading 8 RBI in the series against the team with which he broke into the game in 1989. 6-0 Mets. In the 6th inning, Hampton closes it out against Fernando Tatis. Top 7th, Edgar Renteria grounds it. Ventura barehands it and gets him. Bottom of the 7th with 1 out. The Cardinals bring on Rick Ankiel to perhaps get something positive in his head before the end of the season. But he throws not 1, but 2 wild pitches, bringing home Mike Bordick with the Mets' 7th run. 9 wild pitches in the postseason, most in postseason history, and all in 4 innings pitched. And then things got truly ugly in the 8th. Dave veers up and into Jay Payton, who shakes his head and then gets hit in the head. Look out. Payton pops up, stalks the mound. Benches are going to clear. You'll see on the replay, Veers hits him like Clemens hit Piazza back in July, letting loose blood, bed, and otherwise. As for the game, top 9, 2 outs. Hampton trying to finish what he started against Rick Wilkins. And Wilkins sends one to center. And the last out fittingly grabbed by the guy who starts everything for the Mets, Timo Perez. A 3-hit, 8-strikeout gem for Mike Hampton. As Bobby V and Piazza are going to their first World Series together. Al Leiter going to his 4th. Johnny Franco going to his 1st after 17 seasons in the bigs. For the Mets, it will be their 4th series appearance, first since '86. The MVP of the NLCS goes to Mike Hampton for tossing 16 scoreless innings, joining Jerry Koosman as the only Mets starter to win twice in a series.